Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we are once again back in Warframe. I know that sounds crazy, and we are here to have a look at the Pari Prime. And to be more specific, this is the Incarnon version of the weapon because that just makes it so much better and actually worth using. That does not mean that the weapon is bad at base, it just means that with the Incarnon you can use it in pretty much any mission, even up to level cap, and it will perform perfectly fine. Now this is your base bow, you just charge it and shoot it, or you can just quick fire it, which is usually not recommended because you will be dealing a lot less damage. The Incarnon form makes it a bit more AoE focused and able to shoot these huge waves that deal quite a lot of damage the moment we actually get some buffs running on this weapon, but more on that later. Anyways, that's enough introductions for now, so let's jump into the build. Starting from the Incarnon evolutions, the first one is going to be the actual Incarnon transformation itself. To activate it, you have to hit enough weak points to charge the Incarnon meter, and the more you charge it, the more bullets you'll have while in Incarnon form. And after activating it by pressing the Alt fire, the weapon becomes able to shoot those very large projectiles that deal hit damage. Moving to the second evolution, I went for this one because it's much easier to actually activate. You just need to have 1.2 or higher move speed on your Warframe, and this grants you 80% more fire rate. The other evolution grants you a lot more damage, but you do miss on a lot of fire rate, so I don't think it's worth it, and also requires you to have overshields, which is not usually that easy to get or maintain in general. For Evolution 3, I went for more projectile speed, and this is honestly just the best thing you can go for. I do think that marksman focus could have some uses if you really don't like the zoom, but in general you're going to prioritize projectile speed. And finally for Evolution 4, I went for elemental balance, and this increases base status chance by 60%. So the weapon now has a base 80% status chance on the normal fire mode and a base 80% while in Incarnon form. The other two evolutions aren't exactly that great, especially this one. I don't think it gives you enough stats to be worth using. If it was a plus 10x crit multiplier, maybe, because you're not gonna be able to one-shot enemies after they reach a certain level. And this one grants you a bit more base damage, but we already have enough, so we don't really need it. Now moving to the base stats, this weapon has a charge time of 0.5 that goes down to 0.28 if you are using a Warframe that has a 1.2 or higher movement speed. And this weapon has a Raven disposition of 5, so all Ravens are going to be insanely powerful. I actually have a very good one, and believe me, they make a massive difference. They are absolutely worth it and will make the weapon feel so much better in general. Base crit chance is insanely high at 45%, crit multiplier is only 2x, which is very average, status chance, as we said, is 80%, and the weapon deals mostly puncture damage for a total of 200. For charge shot instead, the weapon just deals more damage, it goes all the way up to 380, and that's why it's really important to go for charge shots. Meanwhile, in Incarnon form, the weapon has a charge time of 0.44 or 0.31 if you make use of the Incarnon evolution. It can hold a maximum of 20 charges. Critical chance is even higher at 50%. Crit multiplier now goes up to 3.4, which is very high. And status chance stays at 80%. The weapon now deals mostly hit damage for a total of 540, and the weapon can only fire charge shots. Now this build is going to be more focused towards new players. It's full of mods you can easily acquire and will serve you quite well for pretty much the whole game till you reach like Silpant. When you start acquiring better mods, then you can then move on to the actual build, which is going to be this one. And here I'm using Galvanized Chamber for more multi-shot, and on kill even more multi-shot, Point Strike for more crit chance, Vital Sense for more critical damage, Galvanized Scope for even more crit chance on headshot while aiming, and on headshot kill an additional 40% up to 5 stacks for 12 seconds. Galvanized Aptitude for more status chance, and on kill more damage depending on how many statuses are affecting the target. Rifle Elementalist for more punch through and status damage. Thermite Rounds for more hit and status chance. Prime Shred for more fire rate and even more punch through. And last but not least, a mod that is completely optional, but if you have it, it will make the weapon much better. And that is Visage Bald, I think that's how you spell that. And what this mod does is it allows you to restore health for every 3 status effects, but most importantly, we gain 90% more status chance, and that's pretty much the only reason why I'm using it. With this build, we are at above 100% crit chance, which means all our shots are going to be able to crit. And after stacking Galvanized Scope, we actually can reach even red crits, which is amazing. We also have a massive amount of status chance, and that means that we will pretty much almost always trigger hit on enemies, while in Incarnon form we have up to 232% chance to apply hit, and that means we can apply even 3 hit procs with just 1 arrow, and we are shooting multiple of them because we have multi-shot, so yeah, this weapon can apply a lot of heat. And last but not least, let's not forget about arcanes. We also are using Primary Merciless to increase our damage up to 360%. We also gain 30% more reload speed, which just means we can draw our arrows faster from our quiver, and that's pretty much what it does. But if you're really good at hitting headshots, I recommend going for Primary Deadhead because it grants you additional headshot multiplier, that way you can deal even more damage. And that's pretty much the whole build, so let's now see it in action. As always, I have here our 20 rapid heavy gunners level 225 with steel path modifiers, and this weapon will pretty much melt through them, so let's just start by charging the Incarnometer, which we do by, in this case, hitting headshots, which are the weak points on this enemy, and that charges the white bar underneath my scope, which is your Incarnometer. After we charge that, we can press our Alt Fire button, and that will transform the weapon into its Incarnon form, which does change the look a little bit on this weapon. It's not that crazy like other ones, but that's pretty much what it does. And now we are able to shoot this very huge arrows, and as you saw, we applied 3 hit stacks, but yeah, that's pretty much what happens when you have a weapon that can do this. At first, the weapon is not going to deal that much damage, but the moment we start stacking our Primary Merciless, we are going to be able to delete these enemies much faster, and of course the weapon is already almost able to deal with them, but the more stacks we have on Primary Merciless, the more damage it's going to deal, and it's going to shred through this very high level, very tanky enemies with usually just 1 arrow. Like, that's all you need to kill a very tanky enemy, and yeah, that's how it works. And to make things even easier, we can also use our Panzerpaphyla, and that will grant us the ability to apply viral on enemies. That way we can deal more damage. We also gain 1.2x final crit damage multiplier on our weapons. And with this mod we can also armor shape enemies. So yeah, that's a pretty easy way to deal like 3 times more damage or something. So yeah, we're gonna use this path with that build, and this is the build for the claws. It's just a lot of damage, and yeah, let's see what happens now. Alright, Panther, just apply viral for me, and don't kill everyone immediately. That would be quite nice. Let's see if it does apply viral. We should have viral. There we go, we have viral. And yeah, obviously we're dealing more damage. Enemies have less armor. They have 10 stacks of viral, which means they take like 200% more damage. Plus all our amazing buffs. There's no point in like trying to explain what happens. It's pretty obvious. Enemies just die. Now, to add a little bit more spice, I'm also going to use my Riven, and this does grant us additional damage, additional status chance, and a lot of critical damage. So yeah, it's a very powerful Riven, and if you can roll these stats with a negative, that would be just awesome in general. So yeah, let's see what happens with a Riven. Let me charge the Incarnometer, and we're already dealing quite a lot more damage from the get-go, even without having stacked our Primary Merciless. And after we actually stack that, obviously we're able to one-shot everything and deal massive amounts of damage. And yeah, that is pretty much the Pari Prime. I think this might be one of the best bows we have in-game, and it also has 5 out of 5 Riven disposition, so yeah, it makes it so much better in general. If you like dealing massive amounts of damage and having to like actually aim at stuff, I think this might be the weapon for you. Anyways, I'll now leave you guys to the showcase where I test this weapon for 5 minutes in a Grenadier Steel Path survival, so you can see how it performs in a more realistic scenario. If you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like, and if you like my content, consider subscribing. I wish you a beautiful rest of the day, and bye bye.
another hot one. Get up. I'm ready for
feel like we're falling away. Maybe I just need to feel nothing to make it easier. Turn away.